Hello, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. This is my very first talk at NZGDC, and I'm thrilled that you're here. To start off, to just like get if you fall asleep because you just had lunch, I get it, I totally understand. But to wake each other up, I'm gonna get you to just turn to the person next to you and give them a wee high five. Just wake them up, make sure like it's a good one. Cool. And then now to your second favorite neighbor, you give them a high five? Yep, great. Cool. Thank you for doing exactly what I told you to do. Hi, I'm Kasey. Hi, Kasey. And I'm a recovering people pleaser, or as Oprah likes to call it, the disease to please. So today I'll be taking you on a quest to share with you the art of how and why and when to say no. So first, here is your boundary finding wizard guide. It's me. The picture's a little old. I have a background in film and visual effects, so 10 years of that. The first half of that was at Weta Effects, followed by some smaller companies where I was introduced to the game world, first making game trailers, and then now I work in creative development on games as well as other mediums like film, TV, location-based experiences, VR, and advertising. Some side quests in life have been artistic roller skating for New Zealand, not at that age, but yeah. Becoming a mum last year, and becoming a pilot a couple of months ago. Thank you. But the reason why I was allowed here behind this lectern today was because I work at 37 Degrees Studio as a line producer. So line producers are the ones that connect each point of production. They manage the budget and schedule. And I talk to clients every single day, and I've learned some lessons the hard way. And I'm going to share them with you so that you don't have to. So first, why would I say no? I know these days, with the industry the way it is, it can be extremely hard to say no. And it might just be easier to say yes and just to get the client over the line. I have to remind myself of this when my child is asking for a baby shark like 1,000 times before 9 a.m. and then we get toddler tantrums. Saying yes is not always the best strategy. So a project lands, you have to bid it or scope it or do whatever your job is. You've got some decisions to make. How do you strike the right balance between creative ambition, client demands, and project realities? You need to understand your strengths and your limits and be honest about both. You need to know your team's capabilities. Can your team do this work? Or do you need to outsource or hire someone new? Or do you just say no? Do you have realistic projections? What is your team currently committed to? Also, I'm saying team, this could be just you, maybe you are your team. But what are your current commitments? What are the promises for the future? And is saying yes creating any bottlenecks down the line? What are your overheads? These are things like production, licenses, IT, office expenses, and do you have them factored into your rate card? And finally, do you even want this project? How does it look with the rest of your portfolio? And is this the direction that you want your studio or your portfolio to go? These are all questions that can prompt you to push back early, because once a contract is signed, it becomes a lot harder to say no. Which leads me to a tale beyond a regretful yes. A few years ago, I committed to an ambitious project. I thought that saying yes built trust. I knew that my team could do an incredible job, and they did. But my optimism meant that I underestimated the time, cost, and support that they would need from me. And in true Kiwi fashion, off the smell of an oily rag, I cut some budgets, I squished some schedules, and I made it work. The project was a success on paper, commercially fine, but it cost us time, money, and well-being that we didn't need to lose. So the lesson that I learned was that protecting my team's energy and well-being and communicating expectations builds much more trust than just saying a blind yes. Missing milestones or delivering to a lesser quality can lose the trust and confidence of your client, and that will set the mood for the rest of the production. It can also damage your reputation beyond this current production, and this industry is way too small to be doing that. Okay, but how to say no? So I often think about that regretful project when I'm talking to my new clients and even talking to my internal team. So now my main goal is to keep capabilities clear and documented. When scope creep happens, I like to flag it early, and I say something like, hey, something needs to change. No, I wouldn't say it like that, but something needs to change. Either we bring the scope back to what we originally agreed on, or we need to add time or budget or whatever it is you need. Raising the red flag early and communicating the issue, the better. As Brené Brown says, being clear is kind. Documented scope also helps your team. For your juniors, they will have better defined tasks. For your seniors or leads or supervisors, they'll know how far they can push the internal feedback. For your whole team, it'll also let them know the bigger long-term picture without the moving target. Over my career, over 10 years, you would think that I would know what I was doing by now. But every project is different. Every project will have a different limitation or different people, personalities, culture. It all plays a factor. But I promise you, there will never be a client that says, you can have all the money in the world, you can do it in whatever timeline, and actually if you don't even deliver, that's fine too. That'll never happen. You also need to ask yourself, what is the opportunity cost of saying yes? Unfortunately, cannot predict the future. As Sarah said in her talk, it would be great to have a crystal ball, but we don't have those. I wish we did. But is saying yes gaining you goodwill now and burning your team energy, eroding profit, and damaging trust later? Steve Jobs once said, I'm actually just as proud of the things that I haven't done as the ones I have. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. That's a lot of no's. In aviation, we say aviate, navigate, communicate. So that means fly the plane, figure out where you're going, and then do a radio call about it. No, if there's any pilots in the room, they would have laughed at me just doing this. It's not like that, but using my creative license. So for your project, it'll be steady yourself, plan, and then talk to the client. Luckily for you guys, you can't crash into a mountain while you're taking a moment to make a good plan. So you may be thinking, I was talking about communication and then I put it last on the priority list. That's because your clients need to know that you have a plan, not a panic, as I like to say, planic. Now at this point, you're probably thinking, wow, this is such a good talk. Kasey is so cool. I wonder if she'll be my friend. Yeah, I will. But you're also probably thinking, how do I say no? Like what words? And I'm going to help. Other kinds of no. Not yet. There may be a timing issue and you need to communicate your milestones and what they mean. Is Friday delivery, is that going to be concept art? Or in my case, maybe we're delivering concept art or a full 3D environment. Those deliverables are really different. But if I'm just saying Friday, they don't know what that means. So that's about keeping scope clear and your milestones clear. Could be not like that. Maybe your client is requesting something impossible and you can suggest an alternative approach. Or not us. Now, this is often not anyone's favourite one to say, because maybe it means that you're referring your client to someone else. But that can build trust both on the client, they may come back later, and also for the other vendor. You never know when they'll come back to you too. It's always good to be nice, especially if it doesn't suit your portfolio. So if your client has unrealistic expectations, could be limitations of the tech, the schedule, or the budget, you still don't have to say no. What you do need to do is give a solution. So some solutions may sound like, here's what's possible within your time frame. For us, it might be, we could do a sketch instead of a fully fleshed out coloured concept art, something like that. Or we can do X, but Y needs more time or money. Clients rely on your expertise. That's why they've hired you. You wouldn't get a plumber over to your house and then expect them to ask you how to fix the pipes. You know what I mean? So keep in mind, you all want the best for the project. There are no bad guys. The client is not usually trying to be difficult. They just don't know the cost of their ideas. And then no matter how hard you prepare, sometimes pushback just doesn't land. So my last point, and if you only remember one thing of this talk, it is add contingencies. Projects are always going to take longer, be harder, and cost more than they originally look, so factor that in. If you're running too close to the break-even line, why are you taking on this project in the first place? It can make sense sometimes for portfolio work if you can absorb the cost or you've got your reasons. I don't know, but when you're part of a studio, the risk belongs to the whole team, and you're responsible for that. So that was a lot of what to do. What not to do: ghost the client. Angry emails at midnight, or saying yes and then hiding under your desk, or making it someone else's problem. So the art of saying no is not about shutting down ideas. It is about clarity, protecting your team, keeping projects healthy and on track. And when communication is flowing well, no doesn't sound like rejection, it sounds like professionalism. Thank you for listening. I have a drop-in clinic upstairs soon. Well, soon, yeah. But I think we have some time for some questions. But yeah, for my drop-in clinic, actually, if you want to talk about saying yes or no or anything in between, I'd love to hear your experiences. Or if you have any questions about 37 Degrees Studio, I'm happy to talk about that. And if there are no questions, actually, no. Are there any questions? Oh, wait, sorry. I'll get told off by Shannon if we don't have a microphone. That's okay? Okay.
If you notice, other project leads and directors constantly saying yes to people, and they get other people saying no.
Oh, good question. Send them this talk, maybe? No. I would definitely talk to those people. It's the way of not attacking them, though, eh? So finding a safe space where they don't feel like it's an attack. Like, can you have one-on-ones with these people? Or just, like, if it's in the middle of a call, I guess, and you're with the client, they're saying, yes, yes, yes. Take a moment after the call and your debrief to be like, I'm just wondering why you made that decision. I think that there are some red flags here. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah?
As someone who I've worked with artists, composers, stuff like that, there's always that nagging feeling of not wanting to insult their work, but trying to get out something, not be there, but more towards your vision or something like that. But you know, that how do you push down that feeling of not wanting to insult them or reassure them that it's good and that kind of thing, while trying to go towards what's needed for the project?
Yeah. I don't give a lot of creative feedback, so I don't feel like I have good experience in that, but I have given other feedback before. Have you heard of the compliment sandwich? Something nice, some like a little bit of constructive criticism and then leave it in something nice. Yeah, that's a hard one. I think when the goals are clear, if there's a way for you to visualize the goal or have good reference, I'm not sure how that works with sound and music, but when the goal is clear, it's a lot easier to point like, this is what we're after and this is what we need to do to get there. I don't think you ever need to like criticize anyone's work, but let's just focus on the next steps. Yep.
Is there any difference that you find in going between saying no to like an external client or a client or someone wants to work to the other people internally in the same team?
Yeah, I've noticed that it is. So I base this talk around talking to clients because it is tricky because you still need to be on your best behavior and you have to say all the right things, and that's what makes it so complicated, is that you run the risk of having a bad relationship if you say the wrong thing. And of course, internal teams, it's good to have good relationships too, but I think you can be a little bit more honest in one-on-one conversations with people that you know. Like if you're in the same office or you work with someone every day, you get to know the person a bit more, so you know how they'll react a bit better. Like with clients, it might be the first time you ever meet them and you have to say no, and you're like, I don't know what personality this person is or how they're going to react. So yeah, there's a difference. Yeah.
What do you do if you're doing a project and you start to realize that there's a little bit of scope creep, and you kind of bring it to the team and everybody then kind of says, no, we can do it, you know, they veto you a little bit, and then when they realize, hey, actually it's really gone too far, it's a little bit late for that, like, how do you kind of handle that kind of situation?
Yeah, so that, again, having clear scope, so that you know, like, the second after you've, like, been asked to do something more, or, you know, set days that you've dedicated to certain tasks, then you know if you've gone over those days, then you're over. So it's like black and white almost. If you can make it as black and white as you can, I know it's easier said than done, but I would wonder why someone would be pushing to do the extra work. It's usually because we're creatives, or, you know, we just want to make a better product, and that's perfectly fine. Like, it's great to have that kind of ambition. But from my role, who I do scheduling and budgets, I need to draw a line where, like, we can't go beyond this, or we decide that we can, and then you've got a new line that you need to draw in the sand, and you have to respect it. Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your NZGDC.